Okay, so just fitting on this quick shifter, QS Easy quick shifter to this Triumph Street Triple 675. So obviously start off by taking off the seat. Next thing is to take off the tank. There's a whole lot of connections under the tank there. It's a fuel line and probably some electrical connections. But I can't get enough. I don't think I can get enough clearance. Oh, yeah, maybe I can. Oh, no, I might take the bank anchor bolt off. Just make it a little bit easier for me. Come off now, just take it off. So what I've done is I've wedged it at the back there, and the reason I did that is just so I can get my hands under here and just disconnect the fuel hose and some of the other connectors there. Alright, so with the fuel hose there's a little brown clip which you can just sort of take off or just peel off like that, and then with the fuel hose there's a little button underneath, a little black button. You just got to push that button in and then take and then just take it out. We'll get some fuel spilling out as soon as you pop the fuel hose out, not too much. And then we've got these two electrical connectors, one green one and there's a black one there, and pulling them off you've got to hit, there's a little tab there. You actually got to press the tab in, press it quite firmly. It's not easy to press. Once you press it quite firmly, it'll unlock and then you can just drop it out. Oh, actually looks like there's one more breather pipe here, and if they've never been taken off they can be a little bit stubborn. Maybe just a bit of a twist with a pair of pliers. There we go. So this tank should be ready to come off now. Okay, so ignition coil connectors, what are they and what do they look like? At this point I don't know, but it looks like that's the ECU over here. We've got fuses and looks like relays over here. So what it looks like is going to be under the housing, so we've got to remove all this housing as well to get to them. Alright, so just looking for the most efficient way to do this. So what I've just taken, there's all these screws just around the edge of the box here. So I've just taken those out, and I haven't taken the ECU off or the fuses off. I've left them intact as they are, because you can lift the box up and just put it there on its side, and that'll give us enough room, and there's not too much stress on the cables there. They're still alright, so we can just leave that there on the side. Okay, so I've just taken off the air filter, which was quite easy. There's about 6 screws that go around there, so the air filter comes off, and I just noticed it was quite dirty as well, so it just needs replacing. Next thing I'm taking off is these Allen key bolts that are there. Now what's a good idea is you might put a little rag in there to cover these ports here, because the last thing you want is screws dropping in there and going into your engine. There's a little 5/16 screw up here as well. So this should come up now, but there'll be some breather pipes underneath. I think I might have to, oh, here we go. So we've got breather pipes on this end that we can just pull off, and just there. Okay, there's still some connections there. I'm not going to bother taking those connections off at this point, because I think what looks like the ignition coil connectors are just in there, so that it gives me enough room to work. Now I've identified the ignition coil connectors. They're right there. It's 1, 2, 3. I do need a little bit more room to work, so I'm going to move this breather hose out the way, so that'll be disconnected just to give me a bit more room. There's also the throttle cables that come through here, but I'm not going to try not to remove those. I just don't want to get into that. Removing the wires from the ignition coil connectors is quite easy. Just push down on the tab and then you just slip it right out. Just leave that there, I suppose. Okay, so with the ignition coil connectors, what I have is sort of one connector there, one connector there, one connector there, and one connector there. So there's 4 connectors, but this is a straight triple, only has 3 cylinders, so that confused me a little bit. But the instructions say connect the ones with the red marker. So you got to connect 3, and it says just leave one unplugged. It says just actually connect it onto each other if you like, just connect it like that. So we're still only going to connect the 3 cylinders. And the other thing I'm going to look for is an earth, somewhere like a good earth that I can hook this onto on the bike. Okay, so I've connected the plugs into the ignition coil connectors. I'm going to take this thing out the way, this contraption here. The reason is I just need a little bit of more room, and you just need to spend a bit of time tying them up and moving them out the way. I'll run the wires down on this side of the bike, down the back, so I'll just run the plug down the back of the bike there. And the earth, there's the earth one, I'm gonna bolt it onto this, onto the frame here. There's a 5/16 screw there, so I'll just unscrew that and bolt it on there because it makes a good earth. Okay, so I've used cable ties to tie everything up. Like I said, just take your time with it, so it's nice and neat. It is pretty tight in there, so I haven't had to tighten the cable ties too tight. They're pretty loose. And now I can start putting things back together, really. Just get the airbox back on. Okay, so the airbox is back on and the harness is in place. So the next job now is to put on the sensor on the shift rod. Okay, so to the last part of this installation process is just putting on the sensor and then attaching it to the module. So what's important with the sensor is that these washers, got 2 washers in it, and they've got to go on the right way. So they only go on one way according to the instructions. So they're concave and they've just got to go on the sensor that way. So there's only one way for them. Now on this bike, the sensor's going to go just on the outside of that bolt, or in between the bolt there. And we do get a longer bolt coming with the kit. This bolt does have like a little spacer in it. I'm not sure what that's for, so I don't think I'm going to be using the spacer. And there you go. According to the instructions, the sensor should be fitted like that to this bike, and that's pretty much it. All I've got to do now is put the tank on and connect all this up. So that's from the harness, that'll go straight there, and this is the sensor that connects to the module there. I'll secure the module here somewhere and we're done. That's all the fitting instructions.